It's Jesus' senior picture right there.
Two like neck gaiters, the real neck gaiters.
Jumped into this. I got a little enthusiastic in the way I was putting these books down. And the camera shakes a little bit. Just an FYI, still cool stuff. Lifeway is closing. Actually, they're not closing. They're changing all. They're getting rid of their brick and mortars. But anyway, so I went in to Lifeway to buy one thing, and I end up with this massive box of books. So people asked me to do a haul video. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to share with y'all all the things I bought at Lifeway. And if there was any logic behind buying it, why I had a logic of buying it. So this is what happens when a pastor goes to a Christian bookstore that's closing. So this is what I actually went in there for. Okay, this is the ESV single column journaling Bible. This is cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the ESV, but this is a great Bible. So I went in there literally just because I realized, hey, if their Bibles are a certain percentage off, this is cheaper than Amazon. So just to get that to hold from this day forward. I'll do all this. Okay. This whole series, the NSBT, the New Studies in Biblical Theology, I'm just a massive fan of this series, and so they had a volume from the series. Everything besides Bibles was like 70 to 80% off, and so that's why I went nuts. So got that. Transformational groups, Ed Stetzer, Eric Geiger. There's a lot of discipleship stuff in here, and there's a lot of groups stuff in here, because those are just places where I'm having to grow a lot right now, because I don't necessarily think about groups as much, but I'm going to have to make myself think about groups. And so also, I love Ed Stetzer. He's like one of my top 5 favorite Baptists. And this is dust because I've been cleaning out my garage today. So, I got that. The Mission of God from Christopher Wright. I got this because I like Christopher Wright. Some of those books, this is the case. I like the author. I don't have the book. It's 80% off. I'm getting the book. The Pastor is Public Theologian, Reclaiming a Lost Vision. This is Kevin Van Hooser and Owen Strachan. Okay, this is Lifeway, which is just the old Baptist bookstore. And so a lot of stuff there, I'm not going to use a bunch. But when I'm seeing Kevin Van Hooser in Lifeway, I'm buying it. But I love Kevin Van Hooser. So another situation of I like the author, I'm buying the book. 40 questions about interpreting the Bible. Don't know the author. Don't really know the publishing house. It's from Kregel. But I flipped through it, and it looks really interesting, and it's asking really good questions. And the bibliography is really good. That's kind of a tip that a lot of people don't realize. When you're buying theology books and you don't know, you don't necessarily know about it and the title looks good, look at the bibliography, and that will tell you a lot. So both of these guys are out of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville. Not typically my biggest jam, but I looked at the back on who recommended it, and I looked at the bibliography, and I'm like, okay, I can jump jive in the whale with this, because Kevin Van Hooser recommended it. Naming the Elephant, Worldview as a Concept. It's on IVP Academic. The title looked good. The bibliography looked good. And I think this book cost me $3, so it got bought. The Emotionally Healthy Church, a strategy for discipleship that actually changes lives. Peter Scazzaro. It looked good. A lot of those are going to be that. It looked good. Lost and Found by Ed Stetzer. The younger in church and churches that reach them. It's Ed Stetzer, and this is the kind of stuff that if I'm going to read practical Christian things, like your typical preacher books, it's Ed Stetzer and things like this. There's a lot of Ed Stetzer in here before because this book was $18. I ended up paying $3 for it, I think. I'm normally not going to spend $18 on a book like this because I'll read it once, mark it up a couple of times, and I'll take a few things from it. But I'll spend $3. Oh, now this. The cross, the cradle, and the crown. It's just a big, huge New Testament. This is like a textbook kind of thing. It just looked really good. It's from B&H Academic, which is a good publishing house that I liked a lot. Keistenberger, I think that's how I pronounce it. I've read his stuff before, and I enjoy him a lot. And this was the most expensive book in here. This was $60 to start off with, and so I think it came down to like $15 or $20. But it just looked really, really good. Holiday, the Hebrew Lexicon. I used to have one of these, and I used it in seminary. It was part of our Hebrew work, and if you follow my stuff, you know I love word study, and I got rid of mine, stupidly. And it'd be like $12. So, go for it. The Jesus Revolution by Greg Laurie and Ellen Vaughn. I actually am not that big of a fan of Greg Laurie. I'm not. There's some political stuff that I'm just not. But I'm a huge fan of the Jesus movement of the 1970s. It was a big deal to my dad. And it was a big deal to America, really. And this is just like a biography of the Jesus movement and what that meant. So I'm going to read that and probably give it to my dad. The Message of the 12, Hearing the Voices of the Minor Prophets. It's about the minor prophets, and it ended up being like $4. And so I'm going to get it. Both these folks teach at Liberty University, which is really not in kind of my worldview. But I think it's important to read things that you agree with and disagree with. And I'm lacking on minor prophet stuff. And so, yeah. Then again, this was like $3. The God Who Goes Before You. Pastoral leadership is Christ-centered followership. This looked really good. It did. Don't know any of the names on here on the back of it. There's the bibliography looks pretty good, and so I went for it. I'm telling y'all, that's the way you can figure out if you're going to agree, to what level you're going to agree or disagree with somebody. Look at their bibliography. I mean, that's a big thing. Inductive Bible Study by Richard Allen and Andreas Kostenberger. I love IBS, and I've never read anything about IBS from someone who did not come from the Bauer Traina School of IBS, and I think in many ways this is, now David Bauer is quoted a good bit in here, and Traina is quoted a good bit in here, but just for somebody else, I mean, I learned IBS at Asbury Theological Seminary, and I just want to get, how does somebody else do it that's not from that school? Because Traina influenced a lot of people. The New York School, Peterson, the whole 9 yards. So, yeah. The Deep Things of God by Fred Sanders. I don't think I need to tell you why I like this book, besides the fact that it was $3 and it's from Fred Sanders. I think this was the book that I saw and I did the math in my head and made me think, I need to start seeing how much all of these books cost because they all look really cheap. Box almost flipped over. We're only halfway done. This is a workbook. It's a training manual, but equipping disciples who make disciples, real life discipleship. It's like I said, groups are something I need to learn to get better on, and when you're paying a couple of dollars a piece for great resources like this, it does. The money makes sense in my head. Okay, the second thing I went into the store for, which is somewhat related to the journaling Bible, Crossways has these new scripture journals that they've come out with. And if you've not seen these are really cool. It's just an entire book of the Bible, and on one side is the Bible, and the other side is a blank piece of paper. These are all at ESV, which I said I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm learning to like it a lot more. That's my wife getting water out of the water dispenser. She's also ducking like the camera can see her standing behind the camera. But yeah, I went in to hopefully see if they had the whole set of these still, and somebody had already snatched it up. But I put together some from the books they had left, or books that I read a lot, and so those were there. These things normally are like, this one's $6, so this is the Luke volume. It was $6, which meant it was $3 because Bibles were 50% off. Real life discipleship, building churches that make discipleship. It's the book that goes along with this. This is from Nav Press. Like I said, I need to get better at groups. And so I'm reading a lot on groups right now. So I kind of pretty much built myself up a course on it. Essential Church, this is a Tom Rainier and Sam Rainier book. If you're not, I don't care who you are, if you're not paying attention to the Rainiers, you need to be, because they're doing like really good stuff. Like, the Rainiers are doing really good stuff. Transformational Church by Ed Stetzer and Tom Rainier, creating a new scorecard for congregations. This looks super, super interesting, and it kind of fell in that category of, I know the authors, I know what they're talking about, and I would not spend $23 for this book normally, but I will spend 80% off of this book. Very gladly. The next are kind of like a series. I kind of went through crazy. And so Simple Church by Rainier and Geiger. Unchurched Next Door by Rainier. Then Surprising Insights from the Unchurched and Proven Ways to Reach Them, Tom Rainier. Yeah, I've gone through one of those. Look attractive to me right now. This is great. This is from Tom and Joanne Schultz. Why Nobody Wants to Go to Church Anymore. Just that title is really good. Why people don't go to church is an interesting thing to me, because I often tell people I'm the pastor that does not want to go to church on Sunday mornings. So I like to read about why I don't want to go to church on Sunday mornings, because typically they're very right. Okay, this next one is from somebody who I really do not agree with hardly ever, except for this one book. And this one book was hugely formational to me as a college kid. We were reading bootlegged, like Xerox copies of it off during this very, very important time in our life. But it's John Piper's "Let the Nations Be Glad." The big thing, a big quote from this book that just got a lot of us going was that missions is not the ultimate goal of the church. Worship is. Missions exist because worship doesn't. This book was gigantic, and I've not read it in 20 years. And so I want to read it again, and not from a Xerox copy. And the last one is the Skip Hertzig, The Bible from 3,000 Feet. So working through the scriptures in 1 year from Genesis to Revelation. So I don't know, maybe this is like a 1 year reader thing? It is a 1 year reader thing. Okay. So, maybe not, I don't know, I can't. It looks really good, and I love books about the Bible. They get me going, regardless if I agree with them or disagree. So there was my Lifeway haul. Totally did not expect to spend. So all this, I think, ended up costing me $280. And when it was totaling up, it's not on my receipt, but when it was totaling up, the register said this would have been about $900. So I think I made off pretty good with it. And I've got like my next year of reading in front of me. So there's the book haul. I'd love for you to follow the channel. So hit that like button to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you can always get videos like this. If you're more curious about what I do and ways that you can hang out with other pastors, just search Productive Pastor Community on Facebook, or the link will be in the descriptor down below. But over 700 pastors are talking about productivity, time management, living out the call to life, and how to be better pastors, but also how to follow God better. Personally. So thanks for tuning in this video. Now I got to put all these books back in a box. Now I've got to put all these things up, and so I'm going to show you what I did. And I ended up having a little bit different of a layout than I thought I did. So this is what's going on here. Okay, so we got theology. There's a lot more of those than I expected. Here are all those scripture journals -1. I've already started digging into the Matthew. And so like evangelism and growth, some groups stuff, and this is Bible stuff. And so if we kind of go this way, surprise, surprise, the Bible stack is bigger. And this is just like the random book, but I'm excited about this. This one will be all right. So, but here's the kicker. If I can, let me go to the other side of the office. I've got that shelf full. I've got that shelf full. But Chad, wait, there's room right there. But I've got commentaries for my road box to put away that go all over that shelf. Got some space right there. So this little portable guy is about to get use. I'm getting really tired of running out of space, but I don't want to admit that I have a book problem.